everyone, Trienne here. Welcome back to the Be That Create That social channels. Whether you are with us inside the Female Leader headquarters, following us on YouTube or on the podcast, I want to welcome you here and also celebrate you for taking a couple minutes out of your day to really work on that growth and that leadership of yourself. You know, in our community, we're all about creating that leadership lifestyle, and that's one decision at a time. And what you choose to put into your mind, like I tell my kids, garbage in, garbage out. What you choose to put into your mind is very intentional and helps you become the leader that you would like to become. So today I have with me a guest. Her name is Sam. She is coming on with us today to share her entrepreneurial journey, how change has been a big part of that, like it is for all of us, and how she is making a difference in the world through her own leadership. So let me bring Sam on here with us real quick. Hello.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Trienne.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we were able to make this work. I know both of us have busy schedules. And so why don't you just go ahead and share with our community something that you are passionate about and how you are using your entrepreneurial journey to make a difference in the world.
Yeah, of course. So for context, what I do is I'm a copywriter and a personal brand coach. And I've been doing that for the last 3 years now. And I originally started off with like copywriting because I'm a writer at heart. And I love the concept of helping people share their message and get that out there in the world. And that quickly evolved by adding the personal branding aspect because, you know, I was meeting with lots of entrepreneurs. I work mostly with service providers that are like solopreneurs and stuff. And I saw that people were kind of, trapping themselves in and not giving themselves permission to like go out there and fully show up as them true selves to like the fullest possible extent, which obviously, as you're aware, if you're not showing up as a leader, being present, being top of mind, like you're really, limiting the opportunities that your business has, right? So something I'm really passionate about is helping people gain the confidence and the know-how of like how to show up and just be them, proudly and confidently talk about what matters to them, their purpose, their services, all of that, and just, show up and shine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think is something, besides confidence, that's really holding people back from being more visible with the services that they provide?
I guess it's kind of like confidence allows you to show up, right? But the thing that holds people back is like fear of judgment, like so many fear of being seen, fear of judgment. So many people I talk to, that's like their number one concern. They're like, oh, what if I show up and, this person from my high school from 20 years ago sees it and they think I'm stupid for like thinking I can be out here and have this business. And I'm like, who cares? Like, who cares? But also like your feelings are valid because they're your feelings, but, learning to, weigh your feelings almost and be like, this feeling of fear of being seen and stuff like that, is that more important to me than the feeling of showing up and promoting my business and doing the thing that I'm really passionate about? Like at the end of the day, what's more important to me? So that's a lot of the time it's people are afraid of being seen. And as everyone listening knows, like being on the internet, being in particular a woman on the internet is hard at times. There's mean people, so even if you're out here, nicest person in the world, doing great things, making moves, being a leader in thousands of people's eyes, there's going to be, negative people that pop up here and there. But again, it's just kind of learning to not take that on, not absorb that, and just be like, okay, that's them and their journey. It literally has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, that was a huge kind of aha moment for me when I first started doing lives years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, what if somebody sees this and they start to judge it? Or what if I mess up my words or what have you? And then I thought to myself, they're not doing it. And if I can help somebody take action, move forward in one conversation and one person, then that's worth it for me, because then you've made the life better of even just one person. So, and then they tell a friend and they tell a friend and they tell a friend. And it's that ripple effect that I think is so important. So what was it for you that helped you get more visible? Was there something that held you back, and how did you maybe get past that?
I guess it wasn't just one thing. It was like a collection of things that honestly if I look at it, it's like, oh, I've been working on this for years. But I really, I guess, embraced the concept of change, and change being a positive thing, not this doom and gloom, scary thing. So like, I've always been a planner. I love to plan things out. I love to know what's happening. And I guess in part because it gives me like a sense of control, right? There's no surprises. Nothing's going to jump out and scare me. So I've always been like that, I guess, like since I was a kid and stuff. And I planned my entire life, and I created a great life that I loved back in New Zealand, which is where I'm originally from. But I hit this point where I was like only 25, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's no surprises left. I married my high school sweetheart that I met when I was like 14, 15 years old. I haven't lost him, but obviously there's like, we're still together. I left high school early to start my first career as a teacher, and then I stayed at the same place for nearly a decade. I lived literally 5 minutes away from the house that I was born in the suburbs. And so, everything in my life was planned out because of me, because I had orchestrated it that way. And then I kind of started going through this internal shift, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Because like I said, there's no surprises left. There's no excitement. And so I had always been afraid of change, because change brings obviously the unknown, which is scary, and releasing that control. But I kind of decided, okay, I'm going to go all in and make some wild changes in my life. And so, I started creating this plan with my husband that we were going to essentially pack up our entire lives, like sold practically everything in our house, put a couple of things in storage, and we moved halfway across the world to Toronto, Canada, which is where I am now, with no jobs, no friends, no apartment. We just were like, hey, let's go and figure it out. And so that's what we did. We came here with a suitcase and our dog, and that was it. And I was committed to, as I said, I'd been a teacher previously, which I loved, but I was like done with that chapter of my life. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do something else. This is my next chapter. What's it going to be? And then I got here and I was like, oh, I don't know what that is yet. So I just embraced, like we said, the concept of change. And I was like doing a lot of soul searching while I was figuring things out. And eventually that road led me to starting my business 3 years ago as copywriter and personal brand coach. So yeah, change used to be this huge, scary thing, but I've actually learned to love it. And I get really excited about making potential changes in my business and in my life. Obviously there's like a little element of scared there with certain changes, but I think that's like part of the excitement,
I think it's interesting. I did some consulting for a shop owner once, and he said to me, the only thing in life that's consistent is change. And he would say that with such conviction. And then as we discussed things to take his business forward, as soon as anything had changed, it was a hard stop. Nope, this is the way we've always done it. And I feel like that's one of those lines that can kill a business pretty quickly, or at least not help it move forward. Yeah. So, that change, like you said, change can be exciting if it's managed and planned out. But even some of those changes that we did not expect, I think how we lead ourselves through those emotionally, are we responding to what's happening to us, or are we reacting with emotions going, oh my gosh, putting our hands up and saying, I don't know what to do? And from a leadership aspect, I think we know what to do.
Yeah.
But maybe share with us, what does leadership mean to you when it came to those changing of the decisions and what was happening for you? How did you work yourself through that, being the planner that you are?
I guess like how it relates like into leadership and stuff for me in that scenario is like, I think before you can be like a great leader to dozens of other people, you have to first be a leader to yourself. And it wasn't just like one flip of a switch and I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm, stepping into this person kind of thing. I think a lot of people think that that's what it's like to kind of like evolve into your next self sometimes, but it's not. It's each time you're faced with like a scary moment or a crossroads or something. It's the way that I kind of got through that was really listening to my inner self and tuning in and like listening to that. Because in the past, I would have like, you have inner thoughts or whatever, and I would often, almost always, allow the negative thoughts that I had inside to be the leader. But it was kind of, rewiring my brain to be like, wait a minute, they're not in charge here. Like, we're going to listen to the, the positive, the pure voice that is actually how you feel, which is really just your inner self that's trying to get out and express to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, because I think too many people, as soon as you start to think, well, this is what I could do, or this is how I'm really feeling about it, if I take the time to listen, it also brings in a little bit of that fear. As soon as we decide, oh, I want to go do this, like when you went from teaching and you decided that you were going to move, I'm sure there was a little bit of fear-based saying, I can't do that. But it was like, I'm listening to myself tell me that this is something that would be exciting. I try to explain to my daughters, excited and fear are the same physiological, I have trouble with that word, physiological in our bodies. And it's really our mind that says, nope, this is going to be awesome. And I know it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's, like you're bang on right when you say like fear and excitement are the same experience for us in our bodies. And so I think, sometimes it's confusing because you're like, oh, wait, this is a scary thing, so I shouldn't do it. But it's like, oh, actually, a part of you is really excited about it, and that's what you're feeling. So it can be hard to like identify what's going on in your body sometimes. But I think if you just sit a bit longer and kind of get real with yourself, you're like, what is actually going on here? Then you'll get to a more direct answer sooner, I think.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do every day, sometimes longer than not, sometimes shorter, it just depends on my day, is I'll take 5 minutes. One of my past coaches taught me something called a 3x5, which was 5 minutes to really sit and meditate and think about where I want to be when it comes to business, in relationships, and then whatever my third piece is that I'm focusing on. So sometimes it can be shorter, sometimes it's longer. However, I think that is one thing that I try to do every day that helps me feel more successful and prepared and being more intentional. You've talked a little bit about mindset and how that's so important. Is there something that you can think of that you do every single day, or often anyway, that's kind of a non-negotiable for you that makes you feel successful?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say most days, I will sit down in the morning, get my cup of tea, sit down on the couch, and I will journal. And I know that like, I used to have this, like, it's maybe going to sound ironic because I'm a writer, but like almost like writer's block when it would come to journaling, because I, for some reason, had decided in my head that everything I wrote had to be this big, profound thing every single day. And so I would be like, oh, well, I don't have anything profound going on or thinking or whatever. So there's no point, but that's not the case. And like, it doesn't have to be this, like, no one's going to read it. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't have to be this great novel kind of thing. It's just what you're going through in that day. And I've kind of built I guess like a 4-step process for myself with my journaling to just allow myself to, I guess, like be acknowledging the things I need to acknowledge while, expressing myself. So in a nutshell, I do like 4 pages. The first page, like if I have something that I kind of just want to like brain dump onto the page, then I will.
Okay.
But I will also on that page, I'll write things that I'm grateful for, and I'll write down any affirmations that I need to hear that day. And then on the page next to that, I will write down 24-hour wins. So that's anything that's gone on in the last 24 hours. That is a win for me. And so that could be like, oh, signed a new client, or I had this many reach outs or something like that. Or it could be like, I did my skincare twice, or I had a shower. I went for a walk with the dog, like it doesn't have to be this huge thing. It's just going to be like something that you're like, yep, I did that and that was good for me. So that's a win.
Yes.
Yeah. And then on the third page, I write my goals, but I write them as if they've already happened in past tense, So it's like, I see it that it's like, that is achievable because it's already written down in front of me. And then on the 4th page, right next to that, I write a big, bold statement, in sight of my goals, something along the lines of, this is my reality, or whatever's meant for me won't pass me by, something to kind of seal the deal with the universe. But
No, I have one that's very close to that. I love that you added in the gratitude. I think I had a mentor once, and I've always kind of believed that, gratitude is our greatest space for receiving. So in a moment when stuff starts to get tough, if we can stop and we can flip that switch and remember that life is happening for, not to, and this too shall pass. I would give an example of being in drop-off line for school for the girls last year. A little bit, I used to complain like, oh my gosh, drop-off line is so long. This takes so long. Everybody drives not smart. And then I started to think to myself, but you know what, girls? Because of course they're always listening. I said, however, this gives us more time to spend together in the car in the morning. And we have the best conversations in the car on the way to school. So it was literally just flipping that switch and going, I am grateful for the fact that people are driving slow.
Yeah, that's a great shift. And, that's something I think that you hear a lot of parents hear, like, oh, when my kid starts driving or when they move out or something, they're like, I miss those moments in the car. It's such a like, sometimes a mundane, everyday thing that you don't, appreciate it in the moment and stuff. So it's great that you've been able to, like you said, flip that switch and see it for the beautiful thing that it can be. Yeah,
absolutely. So share with us, what does a kind of a day-by-day basis look like for you? Because as an entrepreneur, we really have to lead ourselves through our day through time management, getting tasks done, things like that. So how do you keep yourself accountable? And, what would a normal day look like for you?
So I work from home, so my commute's easy. But I like to start the morning slower. Like I said, I kind of will sit down with like my tea and my journal, and I'll do that. And then I'll usually read for a little bit. I used to, when I first started my business, I would just like dive into work, and then I'd end up doing that all day. And then what I found was when I got to the end of the day, I hadn't been taking care of my needs at all. Like I like to do yoga and stuff like that. I hadn't done any of that. I barely done things for me personally. And I was like, okay. And like, I know how to prioritize my work tasks. And if I have a deadline, if I have something I need to do, I know I'll get that done. But if it's like a thing for me personally, I won't necessarily get that done. So I've learned to like do my things first, prioritize them, because I know I'm going to get my work done. So it's okay. But typically, once I come to my desk, I'm quite active on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. So I'll kind of check in on that. Check my email inbox to see if there's like anything immediate from clients or whatever. And then it kind of varies day to day, but I'll usually have, written work for clients, whether it's like social captions or email series or a website copy or whatever. And then I'll like pause a couple of times throughout the day, usually post on socials. And I don't do everything every day. I kind of have like set days to do things. So like Wednesdays or Fridays are typically like my content creation days. So all like my business days where I focus more of my hours working on my own business rather than working on my clients' businesses.
So smart.
Yeah. So every day is a little bit different. But that's kind of like the stuff that's in my day, I guess. I've got my wee dog, so I always have to like stop and take him outside a few times of the day, which is a nice break because I'm just sitting at a desk all day, which is a very different lifestyle to what I used to have. So it's a nice excuse to get outside and get some fresh air, even if it's just for like 15 minutes at a time.
I know you mentioned Instagram and TikTok. So for those that want to follow you, I want to make sure that I get that in the show notes for us. And she said that her Instagram and her TikTok are the same, at Empire by Her, which I love that title. It's so powerful. So I'll leave that up for a couple minutes. And like I said, we'll make sure we get it in the show notes. What is something that you are creating that you're excited about? Or like where's your vision taking you with your business?
Something that I'm creating like right now, well, I guess my vision is, I'm going to say, evolving, because when I first started my business, I was actually Copy by Her, which obviously now it's Empire by Her. But, I learned that I didn't want my business to just be one thing because I'm not just one thing. And I have a lot of interests and I have a lot to offer my clients as well. So I guess my vision is to, create a space where I can be my full self and like serve my clients to like the deepest level, really. And that is through obviously like copywriting, but also like coaching and mentoring. It's definitely in my future at some point that I want to write my own book. And, I'm very, like I said, active on socials and stuff like that. So I'm really into like creating and being on camera and helping other people be on camera as well with like confidence. So that's something I also kind of have started dipping my toe into more and more. So I don't think that what my business looks like now is what it's going to look like in 5, 10, 15 years. And, I don't want it to. I want it to evolve and grow. And I think for most of the people that are listening that are entrepreneurs and they have their own business, you don't want it to look the same year after year, probably.
And again, like you said earlier, change can be exciting, and change helps us grow and learn how to regulate the emotions to go with the flow and allow ourselves to be creative. So I think that you're spot on when you say, I don't know, because it's evolving. It's going to come up and what excites me is going to get done and it's going to look the way I want it to look, which isn't that what we want as entrepreneurs, is we want that freedom, to be able to create that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I have really enjoyed this interview with you today. Thank you so much for sharing what you're doing with the community. If you are watching this on YouTube or listening through the podcast, obviously we're going to put all the ways to connect with Sam down in the show notes for you as well. And again, I want to thank you so much for being part of the community, and I really appreciate your time.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to be here.
Yeah, you have a great day. Thanks, guys. Until we see you on the next episode or you're listening to the next podcast, remember, you are creating that leadership lifestyle through every decision that you make. So let's get intentional. Have a great day.